What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you are signed up for the newsletter. Go to coinmastery.com/invest. Get on there, put your first name and your email address right in there. We're doing daily videos. We're talking about what's going on with cryptocurrency, specifically about how the macro world impacts crypto, all of which boils down into helping everyone make better decisions in this incredible market. Now, we are watching some really interesting things happen with Bitcoin and with Litecoin, along with our good friend, the equity markets. We're going to look at NASDAQ a little bit. Dow Jones chart's not pulling up very well on TradingView. Having some sort of bugs. There was a huge volume spike here on Bitcoin that I posted a couple minutes ago, and I deleted that tweet because it looked like the volume was like up here, which, luckily I refreshed it and it wasn't. So, it's been pretty sweet, but interesting times. So we're going to talk a little bit about what this means, right? Like, is this the bottom? Are we ready to go? Or is this party time? We'll talk about what this is translating into over on the altcoin stuff. We're talking a little bit about what's going on with Binance and what happened with my Ether wallet. Not necessarily as a reporter news headline, but what can you take away from that? Or what can we take away from that? And as always, my daily reminder that none of this is professional advice. This is just an average guy sharing his experience. So I'm zoomed in right now on Bitcoin because on the 1 hour, because I think it does start to illustrate an interesting point where we talked a couple days ago about how when we're in bear trends, or at least downward trends, you often don't get the traditional V style recoveries. Now, if you were looking at this, you'd probably tell me that that's complete BS, and that may be true on this time frame as of now. But almost all fundamental or all technical analysis, as if you zoom out, so let's go to the daily or even to the 4 hour. I'm probably going to give you a little bit better view here. You can see that there is a recovery, but if there is the potential where this starts to just kind of meander sideways, go up and down, have a little bit of what they call chop, right? Where there's a lot of volatility in the short term. And as you zoom in, you're going to see more and more of that volatility. Meaning, this volume that happened the last few days continues to be a solid sign. We're seeing decreasing volume with increasing price. And there's some takeaways that you can do from that. But for my takeaway personally, I'm still waiting for a stronger confirmation. I personally am not 100% convinced on this yet. I want to see a couple more daily candles happen. I want to see a break out of this trend with a little bit more strength, because in a steep sell-off situation, the market's just going to constantly try to fake you out. It always will, and you got to protect your money. At least that's what I do. So not a whole lot of exciting news. And the hardest part is that it's so tempting, which we'll dig into all this, but I mean, everything is going up. It's like, oh, right, we're back in action. Everything's feeling good. And over the past year, I've been in crypto for 4.5, 5 years now, but I've been serious about it for about 1.5 years. And man, it's just doing less is just 99 out of 100 times doing less is a better move, more profitable move. And that's why I'm trying to not count my chickens. Now, that's for like long-term plays, right? That means like you're buying low, you're holding it for a long time, right? You always just want to get the best dollar cost average you can get, right? Meanwhile, there's dollar cost average, just buying every week or so. The other side of that is that when there is this kind of uncertainty, but there is the volume, you get a bit of, it creates an interesting trading environment. And I think that one thing that can happen, or opportunities that can present themselves over maybe the next couple of weeks or so, maybe not, maybe the next 1 week, is that this will inevitably start to bounce, and it'll have these bounces like we're seeing right here. These kind of mini ups and downs, retracements. And if you want to get into the technical analysis, in my opinion, this is a really interesting time to do so. because you're going to learn a lot more in this kind of environment than you would when everything's just going up. Because when it's going up, if you make a mistake, oh yeah, well, hey, I made my money back, and you don't really learn anything, in my opinion. Over here, I think you can learn a lot about breakouts, about retracements, about volume, about really anything that you're interested in. You can also potentially make some money. So I really want to do that. I really want to get into the trading. I think that if I allocate, let's say 5-10% of my budget as a demo trading account, this will not be like trading videos or anything, but I do think that that's going to be an opportunity with a very small percentage over the coming weeks as this thing figures itself out on the daily. And when you're doing trading, I mean, you can work on a shorter time frame. So story on Bitcoin is that it's looking better every day. It's looking a little bit better. The sentiment seems to be getting better on all the networks, so that's good. Now, as you guys know, my real play here is Litecoin. I think Bitcoin's good to look at the market sentiment because it kind of drives everything. But Litecoin's the one that I would buy a lot of if and when I get back in. I mean, I should say when, because it's going to happen. Litecoin's where I'm looking. Now, right now, this is looking pretty good. And this morning, Litecoin is starting to have, you can see that there's this triangle forming and it just broke out right there. And I've had bids set, only a few of them filled, but the next level right here, right kind of at this retracement level, right around, at least on Coinbase, let's call that 165 to 170 area. Once it gets through that, that's probably when I would get back in, because that's going to be a pretty solid support level and resistance previous levels here that it needs to break through. If it does that, terrific. If it doesn't, if it comes back down, then we wait for it to come do its thing, work itself out, and then maybe come up. But I've been saying that since it really dove, I should say. I think Litecoin is just going to crush it this year. I really do. I'm going to buy as much as I can. Now, interestingly, along these same lines, I'm using NASDAQ because the Dow Jones has all sorts of funky volume stuff going on. Same with the S&P 500 chart. And the reason why this is important is because one of the big things, the macro question marks in crypto for 2018, is how this intersects with the equities market, how crypto gets compared to stocks for the most part. And I would say like a lot of commodities, a lot of currencies all had a pretty solid sell-off, you can go look it up if you want, but they're bouncing back to a certain extent. It's gonna be interesting to see what sort of bounce this actually has in the greater market. But what we care about is, one, what does the price and volume action look like over here? How does it translate back over into things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, really the top coins, because that's all people are going to, the big money would move over. So is any of this cash moving into these markets? And that's one thing. You look at the charts. The other thing is you can look at the headlines. What's the narrative? What are more and more people coming out and saying, hey, we're actually looking at crypto. And if they're coming on news and saying, hey, we're bullish on this, they've already bought a lot, or they're already ready to buy. They've already set their positions. They're not going to tell you before they do it. But you may see a shift, like people starting to say, hey, is crypto a viable hedge against the market? That's the kind of question that is that's a good conversation for the viewers of CNBC to be having with themselves. Right? In marketing, they always say you want to enter the conversation that somebody's already having. That is what this could end up doing. And as a whatever investor, trader, speculator, whatever you want to call yourself, in my opinion, I look at crypto as kind of as a hedge to equities, but I look at more of it as a hedge to just like the global system. I mean, not in like an anarchy way, but I don't think that system is necessarily going to sustain itself very well. And crypto represents something different from a social standpoint, more than even like a product standpoint or a tech standpoint. It's going to be interesting if the case starts to be made that traditional equities markets can hedge themselves into crypto. I think that starts with people like me and you talking to people, educating them, doing what we're doing, because this money's going to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. Always remember that. It's that the money doesn't it has to go somewhere. You sell it for something else. You trade it. It trades into something. And that's how markets move. Money just moves between asset classes. So very, very close eye on this. You did the 4 hour, so you could see a little bit of a different story, but starting to get a retracement. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If you don't know a lot about what's going on in the macro market, the economy is obviously pretty hot right now, but you got to remember, corporate earnings are still crushing it. And companies are still making bank. The thing is, it's just that the companies that are winning really big, and they absorb a lot of the money. Things like Amazon do really well, or Disney, or even Twitter too. It's a small company, but the top are starting to win big, because that's kind of the way that capitalist growth works, is that winners win huge. Same way it happened, like we talked about yesterday, turn of the century, with the titans of industry and things like that. So we're seeing a lot of that, and I think a lot of people confuse that this is an aggregate of the market in many ways. And if you have people still winning huge, it can average out other people that are not winning huge and still be a net positive gain. And corporate earnings really drive most price in, these equity indexes, or indices, I should say. So keep that in mind. Then when you step back and you look at things like the bond market, pensions, debt cycles, it gets a little bit more complicated. Right, you look at a lot of the different pieces of that macro view, but at the end of the day, the equity indexes, corporate earnings and debt really just drive everything in terms of price. So what all that means is that as long as companies are still making money, as long as we're all still buying stuff on Amazon and watching Netflix and buying iPhones. I'm not saying everyone does that, obviously, but they're going to keep making a ton of money. And this is going to keep going up, especially with tax cuts as the new thing. So kind of a side note on that. But let's dive back into how this is trickling out. Now, I think that a lot of this, as we talked about the other day, we were at 280 like a week ago. We're at 421 right now, billion market cap. And so we're seeing all these altcoins, especially in USD, just having these big spikes. And everyone's got their own favorite altcoins. I think what I really look at is, what does this represent? And typically in a speculative market, after a period of anxiety or fear or uncertainty, or whatever you want to call the last 3 to 5 days, you get a period of relief. You get people being like, oh, good, I can buy stuff again. I want that dopamine back. So, right? In the macro markets, in the global capital markets, it's so big that it actually is cash flow. There's more to it. There's more things happening. In crypto, there's not enough instruments. There's not enough assets. It is truly a measure of how people feel, and I believe that altcoins, on aggregate, is just a barometer of the relief people are feeling. And then, there's so much recency bias, cognitive bias. He's like, recency bias is the thing you heard about most recently is the thing you're probably most bullish on, even though it may not be the most bullish. It's kind of like when you ask someone what their favorite book is, 80% of the time they tell you the last book they read. Same thing. And so this is kind of a blend of relief, what's hot right now, what are people talking about right now. That's why timing is such a huge part of short-term gains in crypto. So I take this with a grain of salt, personally. This is just me. What I'm taking from this is that I'm going to keep my eye on, Bitcoin and Litecoin. I'm going to watch some of these levels for breakouts. I think short-term trading might be really interesting. Obviously, Litecoin's where I'm mostly focused, especially as it gets up to this 165 area, which we're getting pretty close to, actually. But remembering that you want to be selling when things are green. You don't want to be buying when things are green. You want to be buying when everyone's freaking out. And, you know, there'll always be more opportunities. So that's what I'm doing. Go forth and conquer. But I want confirmation unless you're going for short-term trades. Cool. So that's what's going on there. Binance. This was the big news, I guess, yesterday, but I didn't really want to bring it up because, you know, it's not really going to get anyone anywhere. So it looks like they are back up, or they're kind of back up. Every time I check, it's like one domain's up, one domain isn't up. The reason why this matters to you, one, is because it shows how kind of fragile the market is, where one exchange goes down and it's a huge liquidity drop. The second thing, and I say this every week, and I will continue to say this every week, do not assume anything is safe in your crypto if you do not have complete control over it. If you are keeping your coins on an exchange, I'm not here to lecture anybody. I don't care. You do what you want to do. But some of these exchanges will start to go down. Something's going to happen. It's going to get, like, someone's going to get hacked. You need to own your coins' private keys. You need to keep it. You need to store it. You need to protect it. Same reason why we talk about the rich list. It's not a good idea to tell people how much you're making. Get your coins off of the exchanges as often as you can. And, you know, every time everyone's like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Maybe I should do that. You know, it's good. But then you don't do it. Just do it. Just go buy a Trezor, get a wallet, whatever. Just do it. Get your coins and own your private keys. Do not leave them on exchanges. You do not want to be stuck in a position where you can't do anything. All right. This is going to be an ongoing trend, an ongoing theme. Joe, that's all I'll say. That's really the news you need to know. It doesn't matter if this is like, oh, did they get hacked or what happened here? What matters is did it stress you out? If you were sitting on half your crypto on this exchange, you were probably like, oh my God, they better come back online. You don't want to be stressed. Outsource stress in life as a key to making good decisions. Anytime you feel stressful, that is a sign that life is not working in your favor. You want to have life. You want to feel like you are being supported by life, not going against it. So anyway, that's what I'll say about that. Now, last thing, you guys may have seen, this is kind of relevant, but I think it's actually, there's a good lesson in this. With my crypto, my Ether wallet, probably the most popular Ethereum wallets, really good blog post by one of the founders, Taylor Monahan. And there's a shortened version, but I think you should read the full one. I think it's always good to go to the primary source of anything. She talks about how she built my Ether wallet, and last year how it really just grew like crazy, massive hack attempts, create a lot of security issues, team skill. I mean, it's not even growing pains of a company. I mean, these are like security pain, like real stuff that it was so much bigger than the project that they envisioned, like everything in crypto. And, it just requires a new infrastructure. So Taylor, this founder, is starting a new company called mycrypto.com, which is designed from the ground up to be able to scale and handle the growth volume that they think this is going to have over the next couple of years. And they couldn't necessarily do it from my Ether wallet because they didn't build it that way. The brand's got certain things with it. It's just not necessarily the scaling solution. And so she is going to start this. And so they're going to keep my Ether wallet, at least for now. And then my crypto is going to start so that they can really start over and grow the thing the way that they want, hopefully as a highly scalable solution. Now, that obviously causes a lot of uncertainty with people like you and me. Because you're like, well, why did they split up? Or is the security still in place? Or which one should I use? Is this legit? Like, who is this? There's just a lot of question marks, especially with the amount of phishing and hack attempts that go into wallets. And so I think it's really important, one, to go read this blog post. I'll link to this. You should go read it, especially if you use these wallets. Understand it. Two, always make sure you know the software and the tech that you're using as best you can. But 3, and this is what I consider to be the most important part of this, I thought that this was a really good article because it talked about that it's we all see the growth and we're like, this is sick. Like, we got more people, the price is going up, awesome. But when you're running a company, that is a lot of people who build these products. I mean, they're developers, right? They want to build great products, but there's a huge set of new problems that come with major fast scale. And so the third thing I think you could take from this is, if you are in a position where you can help, whether it be a coin, whether it be a project, whether it be a piece of software, anything in this ecosystem, if you can help out, reach out and help. I know how to do marketing really well. I reach out to coins all the time and I say, hey, here's what you can do, or why don't we do this, or here's some things that I can help with, or here's some ideas, or whatever. If you know how to build teams really well for some company, maybe you can reach out. I'm not saying these guys need it, but like, what's one of your favorite coins? They're gonna have these problems at some point, and this to me is highly relevant. I was talking to somebody the other day who's launching a big product, and this is a problem he's seen for a few years, and so he started an incubator where he accelerates ICOs and teaches them, hey, you're going to scale. Here's how you run a business. Here's how you hire people. Here's how you scale. Here's how you have processes, things like that. Do financial reporting, security, everything. So I think that's just a helpful thing, is that that's part of the community, because the more standoffish we are in crypto, the more we just assume other people are going to solve the problems, the less problem it doesn't happen quickly enough. We rely on Darwinism too much, where we wait for things to die and something else comes along, instead of trying to strengthen things as they go, which always makes it a faster evolution, right? Which is really what we want. I mean, we could wait around and let this thing just naturally do its course, but I don't know. I tend to subscribe to the attitude in life that if you want something to happen, you got to go make it happen. You got to go impact it, right? Don't just let life happen. Just go and just do it, right? So anyway, I thought that was just a good takeaway from this. When it comes to using this service, I think that you always want to make sure that you follow these blog posts, follow them on Twitter or wherever they're communicating. Make sure that there's ample security in place, and also look through your portfolio. What coins, what projects, what services do you use that may be going through these exact same problems, and they just never thought about? They just don't know what they don't know, right? And there's something we can all do. So exciting times. Again, I'm waiting a little bit longer, setting more and more bids on Litecoin. If it breaks through this level, maybe this weekend, maybe today, who knows? Like 160, I guess 169-ish on Coinbase. That looks interesting. Breakouts are always a little sketchy, but maybe it'll break out, come back, see if it holds support. Then I'd probably go in pretty big. But Litecoins, that's the move. Just waiting for the right entry. At this point, I'm excited about waiting, right? Not excited about being stressed out anytime soon. So it goes. Well, guys, as always, it's terrific chatting. I will be back on Monday with more daily Coin Mastery TV videos. And in the meantime, I'll catch you later. All right, peace out.